Right now, the mayor's management report. Mayor Adams touting positive public safety numbers with crime down to historic lows. But there's concerning data regarding ambulance wait times as his re-election bid comes down to the wire. Plus, city officials missing during two key city council hearings this week.
I just want the record to reflect that this is the second time this week that City Hall is being represented by empty chairs in this chamber.
To discuss it all, First Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro going on the record. With more choices than ever in a New York City mayoral election, why some voters feel there still isn't an option for them. I'm going one-on-one with former city councilman Joe Borelli. And new numbers are in the showdown between Jack Ciattarelli and Mikey Sherrill for New Jersey governor. See what's driving voters' choices and the big differences along party lines.
This is PIX on Politics with Dan Mannarino.
And welcome to PIX on Politics, everybody. I am Dan Mannarino. So let's talk about it. In the race for New York City mayor, the current mayor, Eric Adams, often says that his story is not being told. So today, we're looking at what's called the Mayor's Management Report. Now, I know it doesn't sound sexy, but it's a biannual report. It takes a close look at how the mayor and city agencies are actually doing. It's the last of Mayor Adams' first term as he tries to pull off a late surge in the polls to secure that second term. Let's take a look. Some of the key takeaways here. A big win in public safety, right? Crime numbers continue to go down. The city seems to be winning the war on rats with fewer sightings as well. Affordable housing construction also on the rise. But a concerning takeaway, ambulance wait times on the rise, and the addition of bus lanes falling well below the goals. Meanwhile, council members throwing out criticism to City Hall for failing to appear at two key hearings this week. Sources telling PIX 11 it was First Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro who kept City Hall officials from appearing. Well, today we're going straight to the source to find out more. First Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro going on the record. And he is joining me now. Welcome back to the show.
Pleasure to be here, Dan.
So let's talk about the mayor's management report first. Taking a look, it's really a progress report, right, for it. Major crimes continue to drop, rat sightings down, summer jobs, affordable housing construction up. Those are all good things, right? What was your takeaway from it?
Well, my takeaway is that the city is on the rise. Okay, crime down in some categories like shootings and murders to record lows. Affordable housing being produced at an unprecedented rate in city history, and improving quality of life and economic performance, job opportunities, youth employment opportunities. It's a very positive report about where our city is headed. Of course, the purpose of a mayor's management report is a self-assessment about where we're doing well and where we need to do better. So there are categories where we need to do better. And in fact, in the budget just passed, unanimously passed by the City Council, that hasn't happened in many, many years, we've provided funding to address many of the issues identified in that report. But overall, I think it's fair to say, and many commentators have, the city is doing well and on the rise under Mayor Adams.
So taking a look at that report, right, and some of the areas you're mentioning that you do need to work on, right? Starting today, what is area number one that you want to have a better report next time?
For me, it's improving EMS response times. Police response times have improved.
Right.
EMS, those response times takes too long. We are addressing it. You're going to hear more about that in the very near future. Another area, obviously cleaner parks and streets contributes to quality of life. We've addressed that in the budget just passed unanimously. We have devoted more to sanitation, cleaning of empty lots and streets. We have added a second shift to park cleaning. So we're ahead of the curve before the report even came out.
Okay, good. I want to talk about the multiple city council hearings this week. One that just happened on Thursday regarding a housing project. It's slated for the Bronx. For those who don't know, it would offer places to live to ex-inmates with serious medical conditions. Now,
from Rikers.
From Rikers, yes. The city council, including Justin Brannan, said that City Hall provided nobody there. I know you have something different to say, but I want to play a soundbite from Justin Brannan first about what he thought about it.
Second time this week we've gathered in this chamber as a co-equal branch of government in the City Council, and this is how your mayor and City Hall is represented, by a row of empty chairs. They don't care about New York. They care about keeping their own power.
So Was there a row of empty chairs there from, especially Health and Human Services, which is in charge of part of this project?
Okay. So, while I have great respect for Justin, that's his 15 seconds of fame.
Okay.
You know, it's political rhetoric, and the only person engaging in politics is him and the council. We actually had, sitting in that audience, Deputy Mayor Tiffany Raspberry for Intergovernmental Affairs, Special Advisor to the Mayor Diane Savino, and we also had submitted a written statement from the head of the Health and Hospitals Corporation, and the
But why weren't
council
they there?
the council kept them waiting, kept a deputy mayor and a special advisor to the mayor waiting for over an hour. Only let them testify at the end. So for Justin to say that, that's just wrong. Now I will say this. Earlier in the week, we did not have individuals show up at a hearing that was on the federal cuts of the Trump administration and how they are affecting or could affect the city. What we did was we produced 13-page single-spaced report detailing every federal program that was at issue, what we've done to prevent the cuts, when we've gone to court to prevent the cuts, gave them all of that information. But what we didn't do, because it's such a sensitive time dealing with the Trump administration, was submit to the political theater individuals to be berated by the council.
So let me break this down. Let me break it down first, because there's two hearings, right? So for the first one, was there a row of empty chairs?
We produced 13-page single-spaced written report detailing it all. There were no individuals who appeared to testify.
Right, that's the one about SNAP benefits and Medicaid, right? So
right, about the Trump administration, when we're in such a sensitive time with the Trump administration, and the city council should be joining us instead of trying to subject us to political theater.
Okay, so let me ask you the question then, since you didn't have anybody there. How will that affect an everyday New Yorker if those cuts to Medicaid and SNAP happen?
Well,
and what's the contingency plan?
This is why we are fighting every day to prevent and address potential cuts. In some areas, we have already restored funding. We got ahead of the curve, and we have put that funding into the adopted budget. In other respects, we are fighting in court or joining lawsuits to do that. We say to the city council, don't engage in the political theater to attack the administration. Join with us in standing up to the Trump administration. Mayor Adams has now participated in 24 lawsuits against the Trump administration. Some of them successful. He's appealed to the Trump administration, gotten funding restored, got a wind project, multi-billion-dollar wind project off the coast of Brooklyn restored. We are every day fighting for New York City. City Council, join us instead of worrying about the political theater.
Okay, so let me talk, since we're talking about the federal government, you know, the mayor took a strong stance this week on several topics, including the school bathroom policy, which currently allows students to use the bathroom that aligns with their gender identity. Now, it came days after the Trump administration allegedly sent a letter to states, including New York, about concerns regarding bathrooms. So can you explain the timing of it all? Why Mayor Adams came out on Wednesday and said, this is something we're going to take a look at? Was it because of the letter?
I don't know that the mayor chose to comment, and he chose to comment because of any letter. I know the mayor has views on bathroom policies and other issues that he thinks reflect common sense. But
did you see the letter?
I did not see the letter, but it's not about what Trump is doing. It's about what Eric Adams is doing, standing up for common sense.
Right, so why now is the timing of it, right? Meaning, why specifically on Wednesday? He's had 4 years to talk about the bathroom.
Well, I think this has been an issue that in more recent months and since the presidential election less than a year ago, that has put a focus on certain social issues that I think many Democrats have asked themselves, are we in the right place on this issue?
The letter, according to the New York Times, said the Trump administration could withhold $35 million in federal grant money if a city like New York does not overhaul the guidelines. So when you have a price tag of $35 million being withheld, could that have been a factor on why address it now?
Again, I don't know whether that was part of the mayor's thinking, and I haven't seen that.
But can you see why
specific,
someone might tie the two together?
I can see why we should be, as an administration, sensitive to issues where the Trump administration is once again threatening to cut our funding. That doesn't mean we don't stand up to that administration when they're wrong, and we don't go to court when that administration has been wrong. This mayor's gone to court more than any other mayor in the country, I think, to challenge the Trump administration. So when there are points of agreement, we try to find those. But in so many instances where there have been threatened cuts by the federal administration, we have said no, and we've stood up, and we've stood up for New York.
Okay. The other big topic, the horse carriages, right, and the ban there. It was big news. This has been such a hot topic for so many for a long time. So why now? Again, why now?
Okay. Mayor Adams is meeting the moment. There have been a series of horrific incidents in recent months. One horse died, collapsed on the street and died 3 times this calendar year, including just a couple of weeks ago. Horses got away running wild, passengers jumping and injuring themselves from the carriages. This has to stop. And the Central Park Conservancy has now come out to ban the industry. And that's where these horses are now. This is the moment. It's time for the City Council to act. City Council passed legislation originally that allowed licensing of this industry. City Council has to end it. And the mayor has issued a message of necessity to do that and told city agencies in the interim, while the industry is phased out between now and June 2026, to implement steps to phase it out.
Okay, to be continued there, and I'm up against the clock here, but I do want to ask you about overall rhetoric. There were death threats this week. One person was in court and arrested for wanting to allegedly shoot and kill Zohran Mamdani. What do you think of the race and the tone and the rhetoric that's out there right now?
Yeah, I personally, as a New Yorker and an American, I condemn that kind of rhetoric, whether it comes from the left or the right. It has no place. A spirited debate about issues and policies and positions people have taken in the past, that's what the First Amendment and politics is all about. But we are living in a very disturbing, dangerous time. And I'm sorry to see it happen to any mayoral candidate. I'm sorry to see it happen to any political commentator. And I pray for the time when we realize we need some civility in our discourse, and we all need to condemn the violence.
First Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro, come on back soon, okay? It's always good to talk to you.
Thank you, Dan.
And still to come, everybody, the latest numbers showing a tightening matchup in the race for New Jersey governor. But first, with 4 leading candidates in a New York City mayoral race, voters seemingly have more options than ever, but some still think they're lacking a choice. Former City Councilmember Joe Borelli, Republican, joining me next to talk about this.
You're watching PIX on Politics with Dan Mannarino.
And welcome back to PIX on Politics, everybody. So this year's mayoral race has more options than most general elections in the city's history. 4 candidates in the hunt to lead New York. But even with more options, there's a group of voters who feel there's not really a candidate who represents their views. Let's talk about former Republican City Councilman Joseph Borelli about this issue, because he's joining me now. So good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Lots to talk about in the race for mayor and the options that are out there, right? And in fact, the Republican Party elected its nominee, Curtis Sliwa. No real challengers there. Now, I've spoken to many people along the way during the race about why it was him. Why was he anointed to say, and that there wasn't a primary? What do you make of that?
I think a lot of people were concerned that he would simply win the primary if, someone of the Bloomberg model, let's say someone wealthy, someone successful, came out of the woodwork and sought the Republican line. I mean, also, you have to remember, no one saw this scenario when these races were forming. No one saw a scenario where, the incumbent mayor wouldn't be the Democratic nominee, the former governor would be on an independent line, and a socialist would be the leading candidate for mayor right now. That was impossible, I mean, truly impossible to see just 6 or 7 months ago, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're a Republican, right? And you support Donald Trump, correct?
Yeah.
Donald Trump, though, has said that Curtis isn't ready for primetime. Made a mention about cats in Gracie Mansion when he was on Fox News. So it wasn't this glowing recommendation. So what do you do as a Republican then when you look at the race and maybe don't like your choice for the Republican Party?
I think what I'm going to do and what a lot of the public is going to do is just wait and see who's in second place. Now, ironically, the only one of the three candidates that aren't Zohran Mamdani that I haven't gotten to an argument with over the last couple of years actually is Zohran Mamdani. He's the only one I haven't fought with over the last decade or so. So it's going to be interesting to see me and a lot of the public, I think, wait to see which one of these three, imperfect choices, let's say, becomes the second place person who has the best chance of beating him. That's crazy to think about, that someone who, like me, was critical of Andrew Cuomo for many, many years might consider voting for him, or Eric Adams, or even Curtis Lewa. It's an incredible position that we're in. But I will say this, Zohran Mamdani is the only one of the four of them actually presenting a vision for the future of New York. Now, I hate that vision. I think if he's successful in what he accomplishes, it actually makes the city worse. But that's the real, delta between Mamdani and the three other candidates, is that they're just not presenting their vision in a way that New Yorkers are latching onto and envisioning themselves over the next 4 years as residents.
Yeah, and so as a Republican, you're in an interesting point because you're looking at this saying, okay, well, I guess I'll vote for whoever's in second place, right? So if that is a Democrat, right, whether it's Andrew Cuomo or Mayor Adams, is that who you will support?
Yeah, I mean, I joke, but I almost wanted to fist fight Andrew Cuomo at one point. In fact, I saw him at an event last night. I was in the back room of something, and some emotions came over me going back to COVID and things like that. But the reality is, I mean, he might be the candidate that is best positioned to beat Mamdani and bring back a centrist or moderate governance to New York. That's something that you would have never heard out of my mouth, I assure you, in the height of COVID, when he was shutting down my family Thanksgiving just 5 years ago.
Well, it's such an interesting conversation to have with a Republican saying, I may not vote for the Republican. So you're right at this moment in time, Joe, are undecided.
I am genuinely an undecided person. Look, I think Mayor Adams in the last 18 months has really turned things around. And frankly, I wish more people would notice that. I am someone who rides the subway, commutes into Manhattan, whether I'm driving or riding the subway. But I'm there most days a week. And I have seen things improve in New York City. I think that's objective. I think a lot of people, when I talk to them just about politics and political trends and how the mayor's doing, I think a lot of people have seen a difference over this period. I don't know if it's enough. I don't know if it's enough for Mayor Adams to have these successes and to be able to sort of rewrite the history of his administration. And I want him to. I just don't know if there's enough time, enough interest in the public to be able to do that.
What do you think of, like, when you look at some of these polls and you look at an area like Staten Island, right? And Zohran's actually kind of leading in a Republican borough.
Look, I have not seen any candidate, Democratic Party candidate, ever have lawn signs in my former district on the South Shore. Now, the joke was that Trump can shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. Trump could shoot someone on Highland Boulevard in the South Shore of Staten Island and probably get away with it in real life. That said, I have never seen any Cuomo signs, Adams signs, or whomever on the South Shore of Staten Island. I have to say, I have seen multiple people who are now, I'm assuming they've always been hiding as progressives in my neighborhood, but they seem to be, awakened and emboldened in support of Mamdani. And I mean, look, I'm a student of politics. I don't hate the player, I hate the game kind of thing. So I respect that people are really gravitating to him. Again, going back to what I said, he's the only one really trying to shape a message of the future of New York under his leadership.
And I want to talk to you about political climate and rhetoric, Joe, because death threats being made to the nominees Zohran Mamdani. And last week on this show, I had Speaker Adrienne Adams here, who was saying she actually misses a time of working with the opposing party and referenced good conversations that she had with you, and said that why can't we get back to a point in time where Republicans and Democrats can talk to each other civilly and disagree? What's your take?
I don't think she's wrong at all. Look, I mean, when I'm on the floor of the council or I'm on a news program, people elected me to be a Republican and to make that point known, right? So you have to be vocal about who you are. You have to push back on what you see is really wrong on the other side, and you have to be sincere and genuine about it. But when you have two people, the speaker and I, who just know where we both stand and don't hold that personal grudge, it's easier to have that conversation 30 minutes later in her office office about, wow, that got tense, but let's talk about the issue. Is there room for compromise? Why does it have to be this way, et cetera? I have that relationship. I've been very blessed with a lot of people on the Democratic Party throughout this city. I tried very hard. That's really the hardest part of that was the hardest part of my job for many years is sort of maintaining that balance. But it's necessary, and I think people lose sight of that balance. And the advice I give to all politicians who are just newly elected or getting into office or running for office is if someone offers to have a beer with you after session in Albany or something, take them up on it. Go out, know your colleagues, understand where they come from, and it'll be a better world because you've done it.
Great conversation with Joseph Borelli, enjoying life in the private sector now. Come on back soon, okay? Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, and up next, we knew this was going to be a close one, but just how close is the matchup between Mikey Sherrill and Jack Ciattarelli in the race for New Jersey governor? Plus, what's driving voters to the polls? It's differing depending on the party. We're breaking down the key numbers coming up next with our Henry Rossoff. Welcome back, everybody. Heading to New Jersey now for the race for governor. New poll numbers from Quinnipiac show just how close this race is and what issues are top of mind for voters. Let's bring in Henry Rossoff to dive closer into these numbers. And let's get into really the head-to-head matchup between Jack Ciattarelli and Mikey Sherrill.
Yeah, let's get right to those poll numbers. We can show them to you here. So Mikey Sherrill, Democratic Congresswoman, 49%. Jack Ciattarelli at 41%. So a comfortable but not safe margin of lead for Mikey Sherrill. And Dan, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if people at home know this, but property taxes, kind of a big deal in the Garden State. And in this race, that's what Quinnipiac found. 30% people say property taxes is their top issue. I'll step back here a little bit. Ethics in government, mainly driven by Democrats. This is in direct response to the Trump administration at 14%. We're also seeing this as an issue pop in New York City.
Is this the same for both Democrats and Republicans?
This is mixed field. So if we move over and look at the top issues for Republicans here, again, it's taxes at an even higher level than it is for in general. Then you have immigration, and then you have crime. For Democrats, and this is a little bit of what I was talking about here, taxes are pretty high up there, but you do have government ethics at 20%, healthcare at 18%, and inflation at 12%. So a little bit more varying for Democrats. But look at what their number one issue technically is. Government ethics, and that's in response to the Trump administration.
Yeah, that's actually very surprising because taxes is always the number one issue for everybody.
Yeah.
Henry, thank you so much, and we'll be right back, everybody. And don't forget, we'll be broadcasting the lieutenant governor debate and a forum for the race for governor in New Jersey. Stay tuned for those details. In the meantime, I'm Dan Mannarino. We'll see you next time.